Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Be More podcast. I'm Brittany.
I'm Maria, and today my friend is here. Nida, hi, welcome.
You're already, I have to stop.
No, I have to, you know what? I'm so tired.
That totally, but for people who watch
so tired.
on like not that I think that anybody watches this on the regular, but if you do watch this consistently, I hope that you can catch on the difference between Maria when it's just me and Maria whenever we have a guest.
Whenever we have a guest, I turn into an idiot.
No, but like your energy, even like, and you know, like I'm the one who doesn't know Nida. Like I'm the one who doesn't know more than half people who've been on the show. And you just come in with so much more like controlled energy than you do when it's just me and you. When it's just me and you, you like go in.
That's so interesting.
Already we're starting.
Sorry, wait, hold on. I wanted Nida to introduce herself. I'm so sorry, but I just want to point that out.
No.
Yeah. Just introduce yourself, tell us what you do and how you know either me or Brittany or whatever.
Okay. So my name is Nida, and I actually have a scarf company called Headed Somewhere. And I heard about the show from Maria, who has been saying that she's been doing this amazing podcast, heard so much about you, Brittany, and it's just, I'm so excited for this. I'm so excited to talk about all this stuff, all this, you know, like I said, I can go on and on about some of these topics, but a bit about my brand. It's just, you know, all about empowering women, about kind of breaking the stereotypes that are placed against women from a young age through social media and through all these different platforms and all that stuff. So I like to say that we actively try to fight that with our media and everything.
Also, fun fact, before Nida, because you started off as That Hijabi, right? And then she rebranded, I want to say 2-3 years ago now?
2 years, 2 years ago, 2018, yeah.
To Headed Somewhere. And fun fact, when I think you were still That Hijabi, I had a photo shoot with her. This was a long time ago.
Oh my God.
It was like high school, or not high school, college.
It was some really, really weird park and the middle.
You needed someone
right? And no, it was
so
a great shoot, but it was just so funny because so far.
Yeah, I know. So that's Nida. We've known each other since college. I was telling Brittany before you came on. Same time as should be. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I met you through Hadir. So we were walking, me and you, we were in the same econ class, but we didn't know each other then. She met her, Hadir, her friend from, college.
We all went to high school together, so Brittany knows Hadir.
Yes, I know Hadir. Again, I like you. Again, liking her by association.
So I remember
literally one of the nicest person out on the.
She's so sweet, right? So we literally were walking, and then she introduced Hadir's oh, this is Maria, I've known her since high
middle
school. Blah, blah, blah.
And I can literally see her doing her peppiness and how she's doing it.
Yeah.
I want to know how you got started. What before you rebranded, what you were originally doing, what inspired you to start it? Because I think that those stories are the powerhouses behind what makes a brand, right? And what inspires people to get involved with your brand. So tell us a little bit, or I don't know, Maria might know, so tell me and everyone else listening your backstory. What inspired you to get started? What exactly did you do?
Right. No, absolutely. So basically, I think for me, since high school, I was always into designing and something creative, something different. At that time, to be really honest, it was dresses and those kind of things. And then somewhere along the way, as someone who wore the headscarf, it kind of became something I wanted a way to represent fashion or your personality in a way that didn't sacrifice, if you wanted to wear a scarf on your head or on your neck or whatever, so you could wear it in a very unique way. And then during college is when I really started to think about what type of brand I wanted. And actually one of the first designs that I came up with, because I have custom designs, was the heartbeat scarf, which has a little heartbeat on the corner here. And it's a really popular.
What are your best sellers? I feel I see that all the time on the internet.
Yeah, it's because a lot of doctors or people who are in medicine, they love it. But also I'm not in medicine, right? For me, it was more about bravery, just kind of like kind of stepping up and like, you know, up to anything that kind of scares you and rising up to the challenge, which is kind of like, you know, like as I was designing and I'm going through that process, that's when I kind of like really started to think about like what I wanted to do with the business and what I wanted these designs to like mean. And from there, it just kind of like skyrocketed in terms of like my thought process, like all our scarves that I came out with, like they're trying to protest those standards of beauty. Like for instance, one of our scarves says like, make your unconventional beautiful, which is like something that like, you know, I feel like there's so many like conventional standards that like, you know, like skin color or body size or all that stuff. So just kind of like taking what makes you unconventional and just like going with it and like understanding that that makes you beautiful, you know. And though like a lot of other designs like that, but I would say like the designs are definitely where like my passion is, to like use those and like have people wear them on their head or on their neck and kind of go from there, because I feel like it showcases your personality and, you know, what you believe in, what you're studying, what you're about. And I think that's what fashion is. It's just kind of like a way to express ourselves. So
yeah, that's amazing. I'm all for it. So what go ahead. What?
I was like, do you know what her major was in college? Because you're gonna be surprised.
Oh yeah. Are you like telling me more about me?
Yeah, you're our guest. She's a math major.
Love it. Even better. I'm even more for it at this point. Well, because that's like, let me ask you this question: what made you want to study math?
So it's actually really funny because I think it like kind of started off from me wanting to do something in business, right? Like becoming, going into business, whether it was marketing or finance or accounting, like that was always like my passion. And then somewhere along the way, I kind of realized like I don't need to be a business major to run a business, right? Like I could just start a business, you know?
Literally farthest from a business major to businesses. So,
right.
Yeah.
Oh, really? What's your business?
So I privately coach and train young dancers. That's like going into my background in dance and teaching and all of that stuff. And then I work with my fiance on his health and wellness business. The best possible way for, I mean, it was a huge learning curve and it's super like is not a fun learning curve, but the best way for you to learn about it is by actually doing it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's amazing. So you get it.
You get it.
I'm with you. I love that. That's awesome.
Oh my God. But yeah, so whenever I hear like women in business, I just get like so excited, and I just feel like there's just so much that we have in common. Like I like to say like, you know, I don't feel like other women, even within our own industry, like our scarf companies or whatever, like especially in the Muslim like market, there's so many, right? And sometimes it's easy to like fall into like competition and all that stuff. But it's like at the end of the day, like if somebody else is successful, like that's not hurting me. Like, you know, like healthy competition aside, but like you do you, girl. Like, you know, to go out there and run a business. Yeah. Exactly.
That's the biggest lesson that I've had to learn for myself and just as a person too, is it's gotten to the point where I feel like there isn't even such a thing as competition anymore when it comes to business, because people are they're not necessarily invested in or engaged in a business because of the product, right? They're invested and engaged because of the person, and there is no one person who's the same. So somebody could really like what you do and really like your designs, but could also really like another person. So it's not like they're only going to shop at one thing for like a scarf forever for the rest of their lives. You know what I mean? So there is that level of that like narrows down the fact that we literally can't compete with one another. There's no way, shape, or form when we all look at the fact that we're all coming from different backgrounds and we all have our own differences. There's no way that you can say, I'm going to compare what I have to somebody else. We unfortunately live in a world where otherwise is told to us, which I'm sure is what we're going to dig into when we start talking about like the fashion industry even more. But it really is it's kind of like a comical thing that we impose on ourselves to make ourselves nuts, when it just seems, when you really look at the black and white of it, it's not possible.
No, not that way. I feel like not now, because it's so accessible to buy from so many different like stores and like online shops now, that it's not really competition. Like, yeah, you can be successful in your own way, but you shouldn't be mad at someone else's success.
Yeah.
I think that's the whole the whole point. Yeah.
And especially these days with everyone kind of starting a business and, you know, which is great, especially with quarantine. I feel like people had so much more time to kind of see like what their passion is, where they're interested in taking their careers or their futures or whatever. And you just start seeing like there's really no limit. Like if somebody connects with the product, they're gonna buy it. I mean, I hope, you know what I mean? And that's what seems like it's been happening. Like it's not like when I shop or when you shop, like, you know, it's not like we're just going to like one store. Like we're not only just going to, let's say, Target. Like we'll go to other stores, we'll shop at Home Goods, or you know what I mean? Like we go to other places too. And I think that taking that competition or that like toxic energy out of it is the first step to fixing the fashion industry in that sense, because like so many of my closest friends within like Instagram or people I collab with, they sell scarves too, right? Like I've done lives with other companies, right? Like but I don't feel like and they don't feel it either, because at the end of the day, like we're just kind of trying to make a better fashion industry where people are not hating themselves and people are not, you know, feeling like they can't wear any fashion if they wear a scarf or, you know, whatever, like whatever your mission is. So yeah.
That's like the wonderful part of free enterprise, right? Like I think that's been probably my favorite part about what has happened in quarantine is I've watched so many other people realize and have moments where they say to themselves, well, working can't be my life right now. So like now I can really start to express myself and figure out what I really enjoy. And maybe I can turn that into a business. Like I've watched people on like social media and I've talked to people who've gone through those journeys. And it's, first of all, it's nice to see that because I've been struggle busing by myself as a business person since we graduated from like college. So like I was always like that weird person who was trying to have a business and no one understood. But now everyone's really, like our generation is really starting to realize, hey, there can be more than just like a job that I work. I can have 100%. A business. I can do something I'm passionate about. So watching other people do it is a beautiful thing. Like I'm happy that people are tapping into realizing like, hey, like we have free enterprise in America. We can do this. And we can be grateful for that. And then also realize it's another way for us, like you mentioned, it's another way for you to collaborate with people. Yeah. Because that's the hardest part about starting a business is trying to do it by yourself. That is hand to the sky. The hardest part of having a business is trying to figure everything out on your own. And once you have enough other people who want to run like that path with you, you guys can start linking arms and then you're going to get further because of it. But that's beautiful. I'm happy that you were able to find that for yourself, and hopefully like other people can hear this and be encouraged to realize that they can do it too. That's always like a big message that I try to share. So that's awesome. So tell me, you talked a little bit about your designs. Tell me a little bit about like what brought you to rebranding, and because I love the name of your company. Like
it's a great.
It's so it's so like, intelligent and inspiring in and of itself.
And so, I remember when you rebranded, because you were asking our group chat like
oh my God,
different names, and that one was just brilliant.
She was market researching with you guys. I love that.
And I grew up with like a lot. There's a lot of us, so it's like a great like, you know, just asking.
It's a great spectrum of opinions.
So you get yeah. So, but yeah, to answer your question, so actually I'll backtrack it even one more. When I first started, not many people know this. Maria, I don't even know if you know this, but I actually used to be called Indifference. Do you remember that?
Oh, this is so long ago.
Oh my God, it's like ghost.
Way too
like
long
I literally
ago.
look at those photos, and I had like this like mannequin and I would, like, in my room, like put a hijab or a scarf on. It was horrendous, like, you know.
You have to start somewhere.
No, I would say that's where you start. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's
and I
horrifying and it's beautiful.
Like I was like studying also, so like finals and all that stuff, so it was really hard to like find the time. So at that time, like it just kind of got me started. I would hand stitch the scarves, and you know, and then eventually I realized like that's not working out. Like, you know, kind of like it was like some like different, I don't even remember the platform's name, like it wasn't like an Etsy or anything either. And then I opened it up as That Hijabi, and the reason why I kind of steered away from that name was because I didn't want my brand to be only for women who covered for like the religious reason, like for hijab, which is what this is called, when you practice it for like Islam. I wanted it to be like for women everywhere, because of all religions, all races, all sizes, anything. And for me, the reason for that was because a lot of my customers who were buying, they weren't Muslim, or they weren't covering even. They were just using it as like a neck scarf or something like that. So I felt like that didn't really go, it felt like a contradiction to me. Like on one end, I'm saying I want to practice or like, you know, have it for everyone, and on the other hand, I felt like it was just kind of discussion to like just one religion. So yeah, that's kind of where it came from. And I feel like Headed Somewhere is just kind of, I don't know, it's more catchier, I hope, at least.
It is.
And it's
the
more
way that
like,
it's spelled is just brilliant.
like it like makes people think. And I've heard this, and I'm so happy because like it's like, I'm very, you know, like it took months to like come up with the name.
Let's be real here. It took like years.
Yeah, it's just like it felt like years. No, but really, it was hard. Like, but I'm happy with it. So
I love just based on what you said about wanting to like empower women, like, and I, coming from somebody who doesn't wear a headscarf for religious purposes, and I'm a scarf person because I have a really long neck and I hate when my neck gets cold in the winter. I love the idea of Headed Somewhere, because when I think to myself about like those, right, it's starting to happen now, like those cooler days, like I love to throw on a scarf to like make an outfit, make me just feel so much better to be headed out into the day. Mm-hmm. So I love that level of like positive, you're going to wear this on, you're going to throw this on, it's going to make you feel good about wherever it is you're going, right? And like it also gives you that like future perspective of like you're headed somewhere. So I love that. I love like the level of depth, and I love how just of course, I mean, hey, all that time focusing on it definitely paid off. But I love how it feeds directly into what you said, right? You want to empower women, and that those words together just show you that like that's what you're doing for them on like a small level, a small maybe like personal level to make them feel good in what they're wearing, but on like a larger scale too.
Right. Yeah. No, I appreciate that so much, and I hope that's what, you know, the direction it's going in. I think like some people told me like there's one scarf that has like the heartbeat. That's the one I was mentioning before, and she wore it to her interview, and she said it like calmed her down because she felt like she had a conversation starter, and the guy did ask her about it. So like, you know, those kind of little stories, they make you feel like, okay, there's like a purpose behind it. Like, I feel like I at least believe that every brand should sort of have like a direction or a purpose so that's what worked for me, like having that greater purpose that I want to empower women to feel comfortable in their skin and not feel like when, you know, because sometimes you're looking through magazines or not looking through magazines, scrolling through the internet, like these days no one, you know,
looking through magazines.
I mean when back in the day when I used to have to sit in doctor's offices and there was nothing else to do.
I mean, like when I was scrolling through, you know, social media, you start seeing the things that you don't have. You start seeing the things that your body doesn't have, or your, you know, maybe like your skin, or you have, like, you know what I mean? Like there's like that view of perfection is what we're always trying to chase. And I feel like it's really important to, not only with our message, but also with our media, you know, like the models you have, the scarves you're saying, and all that stuff. So yeah, I could go on and on about this, like I said.
Can we talk about your models and how like they're not conventional in any sense?
The most recent picture, because I obviously, Maria was like, let me send you, and I obviously stalked your social media page. The last picture that you posted, the woman who you have is stunningly beautiful. You know, like her, like the sense of like other people wanting to see something of themselves in a picture they look at. Like her, the level of confidence and comfort she has, and like just that picture was a moment for me. I was like, whoa! I was like super excited about what I was going to be scrolling through at that point. Like, the way that you can do what normal media doesn't necessarily do for women in the pictures that you share. You bring out, like, you help a woman to like really show off all of those good qualities about her in like a single picture. Right? Like, you know that woman's confident when she's wearing when she's wearing one of your scarves, and she know that she feels good because you can see it in her eyes. Like being able to give that to somebody is a really beautiful gift, and then getting to share it on media is a great way to help you have other people see like what your purpose is.
Right. No, I really I think everything you said, thank you, first of all. And I hope like that's the message that comes across. And like even while I'm doing shoots and stuff, I try to always see like a lot of times I've like the bloggers and the people I've talked to, they've mentioned that like when they work with brands, they're trying to, the brand has a very specific look that they're going for, and they're like, you know, but I try to like have the model kind of be comfortable and like see what they're, you know, comfortable with, not really like my agenda.
Like the
Yes,
beige scarf.
got it.
Like the look on her face is just like, yeah, like in a good way, you know,
in
like
a good way though,
yeah,
right? In a very
like
good
yeah,
way.
I know I look good. I feel good. Like that
Yeah.
and like it's every one of your pictures. And they don't look like, women just look confident and happy. Like what else could you possibly, in their own skin? Like what else could you possibly want? And I love that you said that you let people bring to the table what they want to bring to the table.
Yeah. I like, it's hard, I think, also because I'm also kind of like, I'm a little controlling in terms of like, you know, every creator has like their vision. I'm sure you can probably understand as with your businesses, like you have a vision, right? Like you want to, and Maria, yeah.
A little?
I am
a little controlling, she says.
I'm so like, whatever vision I have, like I really want to see that come through, right? But sometimes when you're working with another person, and when you are working with another person, you want them to kind of bring something out too. And I feel like when you do that, when you make sure they're comfortable, when you kind of let them wrap the scarf how they want and just like adjust it, you know, those kind of things, they feel more comfortable in their skin, and then they're able to showcase that. Like if they feel uncomfortable, it's gonna show, you know. And that's not really the message that I'm trying to show. Like I'm trying to say like, hey, like, yeah, maybe this needs to be fixed, but at the end of the day, like you wear it how you want to wear it, you know, that kind of a thing. So I feel like the specific pictures that we were talking about on my social media, like that's what I've been trying to do more. Like I have them wrap it, and then they just, you know, like everyone has their own thing, and it feels more comfortable that way. So
yeah, and it comes through that it's them.
Yeah.
And that's what you want, right? Because no one, when someone buys your scarf, they're not going to have you there with them showing them how to wrap it and how to wear it.
Exactly.
So it's good, even though I'm sure that you could do that and offer that to people as like a resource through your business. That's not what they're buying. They're buying it to like add on to showcase in their own fashion sense. And like whatever they feel good about it, whatever it brings out in them, and that comes through in your pictures. But I'm definitely very curious to hear more about like how, when you were getting involved, were you feeling like, because Mira had brought up to me like wanting to discuss like the lack of representation. So tell me about like what your journey was like in starting, like having the scarf company, and what like struggles you faced, and what things you saw as you like started to dive deeper in with things that were what you're doing, the work you're doing is beautiful, but it doesn't meet the norm of the like these social standards of media that happen with fashion right now.
Right.
So what was that like for you?
Sure. So I think growing up as a woman, I wore the scarf since I think I was like 15. So you don't really see that many, first of all, as a Pakistani woman also, you don't really see that much representation of South Asians in like in the media. Then with the scarf, you don't even see that also. So for a good portion of my youth, I always thought that wearing the hijab meant that I couldn't look cute. Like I couldn't dress up nicely. I couldn't wear the hijab in like a nice way. And then I think around like 10, 15 years ago, that's when like a lot of these influencers started to come out and started to post all those things. But even then, like there was still something missing. I felt like for me, what's really important, what I look for when I'm looking at a photo is body image, right? Like I'm looking for people who are curvy, and I'm looking for people who have that sort of representation. And I feel like that's something that is still missing. Or even like skin color, like in South Asian culture a lot, this is very like prominent. Maria's nodding because she knows, like she's heard me say this 1,000 times. Like a lot of times like colorism is in, like for example, like darker skin is not considered beautiful within South Asian culture, while lighter skin is glorified. Like for example, if a baby's born, they'll be like, oh my gosh, that baby's so cute, it's so light skin. What? Like,
right off the bat.
to just stop at cute, you know what I mean? And those kind of things were stuff that I always did not like, and from there kind of like grew bigger. Like it's not just about things that I want to see represented from me. I want to like slowly, you know, and eventually I hope it'll go even more, like to show more and more representation within you know, like social media and stuff, because I think it's important for girls looking through social media or scrolling through to see themselves, because just like I didn't see myself, and I feel like that still, you still carry it with you. Like I don't want girls to carry that with them when they grow up, you know?
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's amazing. I love everything that I'm like super, super engaged in everything she's saying.
Thank you so much.
That it's so interesting to me. I work with someone who is from Kenya, and she has, first of all, her outfits always blow me away because she always looks like, even in like 90-degree weather when like I can't even stand in the sun, she always looks beautiful and glistening with her, and her entire outfit. It's everything that you've been saying, right? You don't want to feel like you have to wear a scarf because you have to wear a scarf. You want to make it a part of like your fashion sense. And she's the person that I like keeps coming into my head as you're speaking, because I can see that in her. And she's a mom. She's got like 2 tiny babies, and she still always looks beautiful. And just being able to give women that sense of knowing that they should be proud of being able to do that, right? Like they should be proud of being able to say like, this is my whole outfit and this is all expressing me. I'm not wearing it because I have to. I'm wearing it because I want to, and it's going to say something else about me. And being able to look past, I feel like for me growing up, I feel like it was always, oh, people are wearing that because of their religion. And there's so much more beyond that. Like Marie and I've had this conversation. I think we even had this conversation with Shabi. Like your religion doesn't define you. It's what you believe within it. And like you are the reason, the choices that you're making within your religion. And I'm a perfect example of that, seeing that I chose not to follow along with a lot of the choices within my religion. But proof for it to say that, like, you're not just your religion's not just a label that defines you. There's a lot more depth to it. Right. So can you talk a little bit more about the depths of, for the people who are listening who might not know, what your hijab represents for you within your religion, and how you're taking it another step further to being able to say, it's not just about this, it's about women feeling confident in themselves, and about them feeling like they're being seen by other people and feeling like they have a voice within just wearing it.
Right. I think every person you ask is going to give you like a slightly different answer, but for me, this is my
proving
truth.
The point in and of itself, right? I love that.
So I think what it is, it's like, first of all, in Islam, no one forces you to wear the headscarf. Like I think that's like the number one like question that I get asked and stuff.
Misconception, totally.
No one forces you. Is it like it's required in the religion? Yeah, but like just like so many other things, like for like, you know, every religion has things required.
Yeah,
but
it's like the yarmulke.
So no one's gonna like force you, you know what I mean? Like, and if anyone ever sees it, that's very cultural. But for me, what the scarf represents is a way to protest society standards, in the sense that I am more than what you see. I am in what's in my mind. I am like my intellect and my personality and all that stuff. That's what it means to me. So by wearing the scarf, it's kind of like a protest, like everyone kind of sees it. You know what I mean? Like, does that stop guys from catcalling? No. Like, you know, men do that.
Trash.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not.
Men are trash regardless.
I mean, a stick and a tiny little flag. Like, there's the things that they need. It's very small.
Very minimal.
It doesn't. You know what I mean? Like sometimes also people say like, a lot of even like my like older generation, they believe this, like we wear it so the men don't see. Like, no, I don't wear it like for that, and I don't believe that Islam tells you that. I think it's more about your relationship with God, but also your relationship with yourself, you know, like how you see yourself and how you want the world to see you. You want them to respect you for your mind and for your everything that you believe in and your personality and all that stuff. So that's where it comes from me. And I think I don't think anyone really sees that side, because like I said, you don't need to be like Muslim to wear my scarves, but like I feel like that's what it kind of ties down to with the scarves. Like for example, like having like a constellation on your head, you know what I mean? Like that, maybe you like science, you know what I mean? So that tells the world something about you, you know? And I think that's what it means to me, like personally. So
I love what you just said in the fact of, and I think you're right. The misconceptions that I remember hearing, right? That's the hardest thing for me. And like what gets me so frustrated, and I talk to Marie about this all the time, is that so many of the misunderstandings that I have aren't misunderstandings that I went through when I was like, oh, now I think I know and I don't know. It's things that were told to me or that were just blatantly wrong, right? From other people, from generations before me. And it's just because that was like the norm. That was the way that people learned things, unfortunately. So just trying to be able to break through those barriers, and what you're saying about the way that you see your hijab is honestly the most beautiful thing. Because I think that I was raised to see it as, and especially the way that other forms of media talk about like Middle Eastern culture and the way that women are just oppressed. Like that was always the story. That was always what I remember being told about why women had to wear a hijab. So I love that you can, like, you're teaching me and teaching other women that you can flip the script on that. Like, your hijab is going to be a great way for you to represent yourself and say, look at how much more I am than just what you see. And you're kind of creating that platform to say, well, now you don't have a choice. Now you can't see anything other than really me. You have to have a conversation with me to get to know me better. And I love that, like, those little designs that you have give people just a glimpse, but it's just that, right? They have to actually get to know you to understand more of you better, to see the full picture of who you are. And it makes me very excited to think about how I can play. I'm a very like outgoing person.
You couldn't tell, right?
You can ask Maria about the things that I would wear in high school. I am very much, and I grew up with a mother who was very much into. My mother was is an artist, so she's bright colors, like super loud. Like, my clothes represent my personality, and that's how I grew up. I was bright colors, super loud. Like, there was nothing that you were gonna know where I was when I walked in a room.
Loud.
And, yeah, and that is when I get like dressed up to go out. I want to feel good in my clothes, so I still very much do that. But I like the way that you're thinking about you're making me think about how I can do that, but kind of
subtly,
not as
it's very
not as out loud. Yeah, and
yeah, like your scarves are very subtle, but they make an impact. I think that's why people keep going back.
I hope. And the thing is, just for the record, I don't think there's anything wrong with loud also. Like, I think, like, loud is you know what I mean? Like, but I completely get, like, for me personally, like, my fashion also is very, like
subdued.
I dress wise, like, I dress very comfortably. Like, I don't like to wear too much, Maria knows. I'll just be like super comfortable, but my scarf will have like all the
right. It's in her scarf. Yes, it's in your scarf.
But just like that for you, like, whatever you feel makes you feel beautiful, or comfortable. Yeah, like that. Do that. I'm a huge believer of that.
It's so funny because I think that from the way that we see fashion in the mainstream to the way that we see like our everyday articles of clothing, it's always like that in your face, make a statement. And like, that's how we get literally clothes that define us, right? Like, that's how we get these outfits that we look at and we're like, oh, that person's really peppy, or oh, that person's a hipster. Like, that's how this happens, because we talk about how your clothes define you. But being able to say that there's more to that, and you can have something that like is for yourself, but you can also do it on a subtle level and still show as much of your personality, but then create that like sense of mystery that it's like, well, now you really need to get to know me.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what it should be. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that sense of like offering depth and like making other people. Maria knows I'm very much a fan of making people have to like do a double take, or like making people have to go back and think for a second.
Like wonder.
Like making people, like, to a certain extent, I really enjoy making people feel uncomfortable, because I think that, and not in like a mean way, but in a way of, I think that's
curious is a better word than
I love that though.
No, actually, no, I purposely mean uncomfortable, because I think that the only way that we can, for a while I would have taken it back because it sounds harsh, but the way that I see it is that if you're not uncomfortable, you're not in a place to change.
Girl, I love it.
Preach.
So I want people, and I say this now, like, because I force myself to be uncomfortable as much as I possibly can when it used to terrify me. But I think that's the only way that we can do that. So when you force people into, not force, but like when people don't have a choice but to look at you and kind of go, I'm not really sure what I'm seeing here. Yeah. That's when you create this space, or like, I'm not sure what that person's trying to say, or I'm not, whatever. you create the space for somebody to be in a situation where they have to change their perspective. And I think the fashion world needs a ton of that. So I, as a female, am just grateful that you're doing the work that you're doing, because I want it to change for the better. And I think from what I see, I work with a lot of younger people. From what I see in the younger people, Marie and I have talked about this before, I would love for there to be a little more subtle involved in the way that they dress themselves these days. So
a little more, right?
The message that you're sending out about there's strength and there's courage and there's confidence in doing that is a beautiful message that I think is needed.
It's underrepresented for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Especially when you have things that are happening. Have you guys heard about that Cuties movie?
No, I haven't.
Oh, is it French?
The Netflix one?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I actually saw that like an ad or something, but what is it?
So there's a movie, a French movie that came out that I can't bring myself to watch it, because from what I've seen in clips of it, it would probably make me extremely uncomfortable, especially because I work with kids that age and I understand, like I hear so much about like what they're struggling with that I couldn't bring myself to do it. But it's a story about like the complications of coming of age in different races while you're really young, and like having all of this social push as to what you should be doing and what's to be expected of you as a female. That's the heart of the story. And it's like,
but I don't think the storyline though is right, is what I've heard.
It doesn't.
That's the issue.
You want to know the thing that bothers me, Maria? Okay, so let's, for people who don't really know about it, I'll give you like the sense of what I know about it. There are borderline like pedophilia things related to it, and like pornographic contents within it, and that's why Netflix got in trouble.
Because they're like 12. How are they supposed to be?
They're like 11, 12-year-olds, and it's very disturbing to watch them move. Now, let me say this. Do I think it's okay that this movie came out? No. Do I think that it is pushing, is it making what's happening, like all of those negative and inappropriate things, to like public? Yes. But I think the point of what happened with the movie is that it's talking about the realities of what these kids are facing. I've talked to kids that are that age that are already getting access to porn, that have already, that's watched these music videos. One of the biggest issues with the movie is that these girls watch a music video and they try to recreate the steps on themselves. And it's like a whole lot of stuff that a 12-year-old should just, it's very inappropriate. Yeah. And
that's the wrong kind of representation that we need for these children.
Right. But here's the point. Here's the point of the movie.
Yeah.
It's making you see what is actually happening to these kids. Like, there are children who are doing this. And the funny thing that I think is slightly hypocritical is that the dance worlds, the competitive dance world specifically, literally does exactly that to the kids. Where they're like shaking their butts, and they're wearing, like, I call them prostitutes. They're wearing very inappropriate clothes. They're shaking things that they shouldn't be shaking. They're like bringing attention to parts of their body that like they don't even know how they work yet. Right. Yeah. And I think people are outraged because it's taking something that we refuse to actually talk about and is putting it out there. Is it done in a really harsh way that makes people uncomfortable? Totally. Should we be yelling at the movie for being a documentary that's talking about real life? That's not the problem.
Wow.
So I think that in this point in time, my point of this is that what you are doing in your work with how you're trying to address the way that we look at fashion couldn't be happening at a more important time.
Because things like this are happening around the world with easy access. Right.
And to say, to blame it on just the parents of these kids, to blame it on whatever, you're not actually addressing the root of the issue, is that these kids have access to and are constantly getting shoved in their face these really hypersexual notions and definitions of what it means to be a female. Is it nice to put on like a piece of lingerie and feel good about yourself? Of course it is. Is it nice to be able to like shake your butt and like whatever? If that's your thing, go for it. Because I know that's how I feel. But if that's not your thing, or if you maybe don't feel comfortable in those settings, we shouldn't be exploiting and defining like that's what sexy is for a woman and then showing it to 12-year-olds.
And I think it's just completely to your point, like back to the whole, until you're uncomfortable, how are you supposed to make that change? Like the fact that that movie came, I haven't heard about it or looked into it, but from what you said, like, yeah, maybe it's uncomfortable for you to hear about it and have to think about it, but like you said, that's those kids' reality. And just like you said, like right now in this time, like even with everything that's going on all over the US and the world, with all these social justice issues and like Black Lives Matter and all this stuff, like it's kind of like this whole year has been about being uncomfortable, you know, in order to bring that change. Like until we're uncomfortable, until we feel like there's something wrong with, and we feel it in our hearts and in our souls, we're not, how are we supposed to go out and take the extra step to make that change, you know? And about that movie, that's just so sad that like 12-year-olds are, you know, that's just ridiculous. I feel like,
well, I mean, don't watch that French movie if you don't want to. You should watch Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Period.
Oh my God,
that's my 2 cents.
What is that one? I've never heard of that before.
I've been talking about this on our group chat with It's Me.
That's because she watches one thing and then she gets so fixated on it, and she literally reading's the same way, and then she's like, you have to do that, and she just goes on about one thing.
I was watching it. This is the 3rd time watching this stupid movie.
She gets, is this the one where you Instagrammed and you watched
depression and anxiety?
That lady that was lit on fire and then she just like falls to the ground? That one?
Yes, that one. It's a French movie.
I saw the screenshot.
It's
I was like, what is she
a lesbian movie. It's very good. It's very good.
Does it also touch on like feminine expectations?
It does. It really does in society, and like it's a period piece. So it's like, I don't even know what era, 1800s or whatever in France. And like they're lesbians, but one of them has to get married to a man, so like it's a whole thing.
I think that all of these things that we're talking about are bringing about like the point to say that we need to, on a social level, on what gets put out in the media level, we need to stop and take a pause at like how we're influencing other females and what we're saying to the next generation of females, and like allowing people, like you've said, Nida, like allowing people to have their own definition of how they do it, but also be really aware of the fact that how they're expressing themselves is going to potentially have an impact on somebody else, another female. And we don't have to say, that impact doesn't have to be I'm better and you're worse and we're competing. That impact is just to say, I feel really comfortable and confident with myself. I want you to feel really confident and comfortable with yourself too, and like we both win. Maria, is there anything else you want to cover?
Off the top of my head, you have relaunch collection soon.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I want you to tell us the things.
Which has been in the works for the past few weeks.
And I'm all in it. I can't wait to scroll through and buy stuff because my neck's gonna be cold. So tell us about
I love
everything and how everybody can find you and see your collection, and tell us about your new launch. What inspired this new, I'm guessing like this new collection?
Yeah, so basically I've come up with, like, since before quarantine, right? Like I had a whole business plan and like all that stuff, and I had all these like conventions that I was gonna go to. So I ordered a lot of all this inventory, and basically it was like supposed to be, these were like restocks of the collections that we already had out, but they sell out really fast on the website, and I had a lot that I had for in store, like, or in-person conventions, and I was just like, you know, part of me was like, let me just save it for, you know, next convention, but the other part was like, there's a really high demand on the website and there's not enough product there, and people want it. People want that product. So what I've done is like I've pulled some string, ordered a little bit more to meet the minimum collection cut, and then I'm like, okay, let me just go all out in this collection. So it's kind of like, I guess you could say it's a relaunch, but like, I haven't really said this on the website yet, but it's almost kind of like a rebranding almost, because we're doing a lot of things and we're really excited because there's a lot of things that I haven't done yet before that I'm kind of like taking out in this collection. So it's going to be really exciting because it's basically just a product that you've seen before, but in like a different light. And it's like the team's bigger, hopefully the reach is bigger, and the stuff that we're doing, everything's going to hopefully tie down into the end. And
behind the scenes, Brittany, I'll tell you, it's been chaotic.
Yeah, Maria,
Well,
you
it has
know.
Again,
should be
this is
like
running
an
a
eye.
business. That's
Oh,
what running a
absolutely.
business is.
But I feel like it needs to be said because people forget how chaotic this can be because the end product is always like, oh, there's a collection out. But like the weeks and months prior is absolute chaos.
Oh yeah, and that's the misconception that people go into business with.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh,
You
it's
are so
easy.
used to just seeing the end result, and then the person that's behind the wheel, the hamster in the wheel, is like, who?
Yeah,
Is just feeling it.
I can't tell you, like, after this collection, I'm probably gonna go on, like, I don't know where, but like a mini like road trip or
Vacation.
something. Like, it's just been so stressful. Like, and especially these days, like your house is kind of like your warehouse too. Like, you know, everything
You can't
is
run
like,
from anything.
yeah. So it's like before, like the product came literally a month or two before this convention that I had in March or April, early April. So I was expecting to get rid of it, you know? But like, you know, so you have to find space for it. You have to figure that out. You have to change your whole business plan. And like Maria said, it's just been like a roller coaster, but I'm really excited for it. And I think at the end of the day, it's really rewarding what I do. I really love it. And I really find it to be something that I'm really passionate about. You know, it really gives you a sense of purpose because you're like, you know, hopefully what you're doing will make an impact, you know, even if just one person, but it makes an impact. And
That's awesome. Yay. Okay, we know, but tell other people how they can find you on social media, tell them how they can access your collections, tell us all the things about how to connect with you.
Yes. So my website is headed somewhere, but somewhere is like a pun, W-E-A-R. So I'll spell the whole thing actually, because sometimes people mess it up. It's HEADEDSOMEWEAR. So that's .com. That's the handle on Instagram, Facebook.
You have a TikTok now, I see.
I have a TikTok now. I haven't had one a long time ago, actually.
Yeah.
And I used to post a lot, but then it just, you know, you can't get everywhere. So,
of course.
But I started to post again when I'm like, whenever I'm doing something for like reels or like my story, I just like collect them and just, you know.
Creative. You're so creative with those, honestly.
Yeah, thank you.
Like reutilizing content is the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Repurposing it, greatest thing in the world.
You don't have much storage space, I'll be honest with you. That's my I struggle with that, but
that's funny.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I am very excited to look through your collections. Like I said, I'm a huge scarf lover. I have way too many scarves that I literally had to pack. My fiance and I like moved recently, and they were all in like a day duffel, like a day traveling duffel. All of my scarves are in there.
I love that.
It was like, I want to get rid of this. I want to get rid of this. And I was like, no, I can't get rid of it for different reasons. And the funniest part is that majority of my scarves I get as gifts. So like they also have a sentimental value because people know how I feel about my cold in the cold weather. But I am very excited to be able to hunt through and be able to find some extra things to add on to helping me feel good in what I'm wearing. I love everything you're doing, Nita. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. And now I want like everyone, like all of us, just to get together and have a conversation because you guys are
yes, of course,
absolutely. We need to do that. Like, and I'm so happy. This is something that I have been like wanting to do ever since Maria kind of said she had a podcast. I was just like, you know, I just like I said, I could go on and on about this topic. Like, I just love talking about these things with other people. Go ahead. What were you saying?
You know what I want to do? I want to get you and Shubi on together.
That's what I'm saying. That's together.
Let's do it.
And let's just see what happens in the conversation because
I know what happens because we have a group chat. It's chaos.
Oh God.
It really like the opinions are flying.
Everything. It'll be like a 3-part episode if we ever do this.
I'm for it.
Oh my God, me and Shubi had like this live actually like a while ago, and it was like 3 parts. I couldn't post all of them. It's just great. Like all like you know, like just like this, but like with another person. So it's like the
best minds to be in a room with are the people who are like the quick fire, but like everything that's coming out of the quick fire has loads of depth and contemplation that had came before it came out. All like 5 seconds. That's the best. That's the best part about these conversations.
Absolutely.
Exactly. We will definitely do that. It would be so much fun. People definitely would give people a run for their money and having to stay like focused and know what we're talking about. But I would love that.
Yes.
I'm so happy that in the time that Maria and I like were distant, and I know there was so much going on in her life that like she had amazing people that she could surround herself with. Like it makes me, yep, I'm being cheesy, deal with it.
Yeah.
It makes me really, really happy. And I'm happy that you guys are still friends and that we can all come together. Good job,
And
Maria.
even here, like, you know,
Thank
just
you.
her having a friend like you and someone that she can create, we're all looking out for Maria, like do this
Oh my God.
podcast with, and you know, she's
Feel
such an amazing
uncomfortable.
person, you know. It's just nice to see a friend be surrounded by other great friends, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
And that's how, like, she was like, don't
What
worry,
did this
you
turn
love her.
into?
And I'm like,
Do you feel really uncomfortable? Because that's always
Yes.
the goal for me when people come on the show.
Oh my God.
this is
Okay.
hilarious.
All right.
Okay, well, stop loving you now. All right,
Thank
thanks
you.
everybody for tuning into this episode of the More Podcast. If you have not already, please go back and listen to the episode with the amazing Shabi, because we've talked about her a bajillion times in this show, so you have some point of reference. And don't worry, soon to come, we will have Shabi and Nida and us all on for a very intense conversation with lots of love and lots of laughs. We will talk to you guys on the next episode.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye,
Nice to
guys.
meet you.
Thanks, Nida.